Welcome to today's demonstration of Kingdom First Solutions mobile check-in solution for Arena CHMS. We're going to work through how all this works and show you how the check-in process works and the things that are available. I can't really demonstrate label printing for obvious reasons, but label printing is supported if you have a print queue on your server and your printer is network attached. We can go into more detail on that if you're interested, but reach out to us if you are. At any rate, let's get started with this demo. So what you're seeing here is a rendering on the screen, obviously, of what it might look like on a mobile device to use our mobile check-in. So I'm going to go ahead and get started here, and we're going to put a number in here, and we're going to work through the check-in. So the check-in process would work on a mobile device very similarly to how it works on your kiosk today. You would enter a 10-digit number. I'm obviously entering in the fake number here. And then it will search and look across all of the families that have that phone number. Now, most of the time, a phone number only has one family associated with it, and so it would only come up with one family. And we'll look at that in just a quick second here. But in the instance that a phone number is shared by two families, which sometimes happens, then you would have to pick the family. You pick that family. This particular family only has one person in it. You tap what you're checking into, and you hit check in. Check, and that's all there is to it. You're checked in. It really is that simple. So we're going to look now at how check-in can work with mobile check-in labels or soft labels. We've developed the ability to deliver a claim label to the parent or to the person checking in so that they can then just use their mobile phone to display the claim code that's also printed on the name tags. So we're going to go ahead and look at that right now. I'm putting in a real phone number this time because I have to be able to deliver that. Claim. So we're going to go ahead and at this point we're going to check in the whole family. And we'll go ahead and hit check in. And it says, thanks, you're all checked in. And here in just a second, we're going to see that message come up right there. So we're going to come over here and take a quick peek at that message. And it says, please click this link to check in. Now, because I'm using in private browsing and some other things that would make this a little complicated, I'm just going to go ahead and copy that message. And then we'll use this window here. And we'll just take off the extra text so that we can then act like we clicked on that link. And there's my security code. I have a couple options set on checking in this family, and we'll jump into the options on the module just to talk through what's available. But this claim label is generated using Liquid, so it's very customizable. It can look like anything you want. The number of security code letters and numbers that you're using is configurable. In fact, even the letters and numbers that you're going to use in your security code are configurable. We are using a timestamp to help us make sure that we do not use a check-in label too long, and so we will expire that timestamp in the event that happens. But at any rate, this would be a mobile claim label that can be used by any parent to claim their child. All right, well, let's jump into the back end of this thing and take a look at what makes this work. We're going to look at a couple of pages here and the settings for the modules on those pages. So this is I chose to use 2 pages for this. You probably would need to use 2 pages for it in order for it to look nice and clean, but there could be some other options in there too. All right, so this is the mobile check-in module. It does have geolocation built into it, so you could restrict the person's ability to check in. The difficulty with that is that the browser will ask the user, can we enable location and send your location to this web page? If they choose no, then they can't check in. If they choose yes and they're outside of the geofence distance allowed, and I'll show you where the lat longs are set here in just a second, then it wouldn't allow them to check in either. That is a protection that you can use, but anytime you're preventing someone from doing what they're trying to do, it can feel awkward to the user. So we don't tend to suggest that you enable geolocation, but it is possible. Enabling the keypad. So that is the option that you see right here. This little box right here. So if you're on a mobile device and you were to tap into this window, it would bring up the dial pad keyboard, where it's just looks a lot like this, but it's just the number keyboard for putting in a number or a phone number. And but this allows you to put this on screen in case you did want to use it for kiosks, if we ever go back to kiosks at some point in the future. We've also included a setting here for included inactive reasons. Oftentimes, you will get somebody who comes back to church and wants to be able to check in, and you've deactivated them for some reason or another, that no activity, they haven't been around for a while. And what this allows you to do is ignore some of these inactive reasons and still allow them to check in and then mark them as active. Obviously, there are certain inactive reasons that we don't want to allow people to check in for. So that's what that deceased is for. Kiosk impersonation. This is how we go about allowing the check-in to occur. So the kiosks in Arena, as you probably are aware, are really where you start getting your settings for your schedules, and then what locations are available for this to check in. Obviously, with this being a demo server, it's very light, but you get the idea here. If you had multiple areas and you only wanted a mobile check-in to work for that particular area, you can establish a kiosk, and then that also will establish the printer for that kiosk, which is used, and the schedule for that kiosk. And we chose to just impersonate that kiosk through this module to enable check-in. Latitude and longitude, these are just the center point of your church if you were to enable geolocation. Minimum phone search digits. If you're just using this for printing labels and you're not trying to deliver SMS labels, then you can select pretty much anything you want. 4, 7, you could even do 3. I wouldn't suggest it because at some point it becomes a phone number search on your directory. However, if you have SMS labels, if you've enabled SMS labels, then it has to go to 10. And the reason why is we use the number that was used to check in to send the label back to. That's really important if we have grandma checking in and they might have that can check in relationship with their grandchildren. We don't want to send the SMS label back to mom and dad just because that grandchild is in mom and dad's family. We really want to send it back to grandma, and that's why we choose to use this, and that's also why we insist on a 10-digit if you're enabling SMS labels. The phone number cookie. You probably saw this happen, and let me explain what was going on. If I come in here and I just do a search, I do have to use a real number, like an actual number of digits. Let's get that right. If I come in here and I have a valid phone number, it's just going to drop me straight onto this family. Now, because we're using someone's personal mobile device, it's not likely that they're trying to check in some other family member or someone who wouldn't already appear on this. So what we do the next time that somebody ends up on mobile check-in, we just automatically default them in there. So I'm just going to use the menu here to jump back out to the home page, and then we're going to jump right back into mobile check-in. And you'll notice the phone search is not there. That is driven from this phone number cookie. So what we've done is we've gone ahead and stored the phone number that they used to search in a cookie. Now, as soon as they hit this search again, it deletes the cookie and lets them start all over. But you can disable this cookie by entering -1. The default storage is 90 days. It just takes an extra click away so that when mom's trying to check in, she just hits the page and she's checking in her family. I suppose it could be dad doing that too, or a kid. It just depends. Proxy user, I skipped right over print provider. We do provide a reporting services print provider with this suite, and that will enable you to use reporting services reports to print just like every other check-in application inside of Arena. So same labels you're using today will work. Proxy user, this is just so that when you start seeing the action was taken by whom in the database, it will default to KFS mobile check-in, but you could set it to whatever else you want. At the end of that check-in session, we give you the ability to set a redirect URL and set the timing on that redirect URL. just allows, it takes people over to something that's a little bit better to look at than just the, yep, you're all checked in message. Use it however you would want to. Security code. We have enable family code so that the whole family can use the same code. If you were to turn this to false, and I checked in all 5 of my family members, I'm going to get 5 claim numbers. And obviously, we didn't on this particular label, this SMS label, put the name or the location of the person. Those are available, so you certainly could put the location for this particular security code. Since this is being delivered directly to the person, it's not likely that anyone else could just pick up a lost claim label. Some of those reasons, some of those thoughts are why we don't tend to put names and identifiable information on a claim label. We chose not to here as well, but you certainly could. That would help help the parent distinguish which claim label is for which child. But we found that the family code tends to work just a little bit better in this case, but you can do what you would like to do. It's fully supported either direction. Number of security code characters, I misspoke. The default's 3. I did not misspeak. I think you can make it 2 if you wanted to. The maximum is 8. Beyond 8, your security code just gets unwieldy. So we're going to go ahead and handle that this way with the number of security codes and then the security code characters. The default character set that we use eliminates the most common mistaken characters. So like capital L's, lowercase L's and capital I's, all of those kinds of things, zeros and O's. So we made it so that it's very restricted down to that. Now, if you needed to change this character set, you can just put them in right here. If you wanted a more restrictive character set, you can do that. Okay, now we get to talk about enabling SMS labels. So first of all, you get the choice. Do I want to turn them on or do I not? These work with either the SMS via email or with Twilio, our Twilio package. We'll talk more about why you might want to consider Twilio here in just a second. But you can use them with the SMS via email and with the Twilio integration that we've built. We believe they will work with the onboard higher ground SMS integration that Arena provides. But we don't have an account and we haven't tested that. So we believe that they would, but again, we haven't tested it. So that's where you turn on the labels. What gets important here is that we don't want certain labels to print. If we're delivering a claim label to the parent via SMS, we don't want to print a claim label for them. However, if somebody were to use that occurrence that has labels set at the occurrence type level, we don't want to just remove the claim label, because if they're checking in on a kiosk, we do want them to get that claim label. So the way we accomplish that is this is a list of all of the labels in the system. Right now, this is a demo server. I have no labels on it, but you would see all of the labels that could be used. And you can go in and say, hey, don't print these. And you would click the ones that you wanted not to print. So you would basically select all of your claim labels and you would store that, and then the module will skip printing those if SMS labels are enabled. No valid SMS warning. This is, if they don't have an SMS, that kind of a thing. Site URL, you do have to provide this so that when the text message is sent out, a link is included in it that is valid. So this is basically your public-facing Arena portal, if you will. So this is typically like my.yourchurch.org. It could be members.mychurch.org, something along those lines. And then we also have to tell it where the SMS label module is living, what page number it's on. You do have control over what that SMS message body is going to look like. We use this substitution character set of open curly brace 0, close curly brace to replace with the link. But you can basically write whatever message you would like in here and then just make sure you include the link, because if you don't, then it's kind of pointless to send them the message. If you're using Twilio, you get to select the Twilio number that it's going to try and use. And then update the SMS enabled attribute. If they've logged in with a phone number like this and it's worked, we just want to go ahead and assume that it's a valid SMS enabled phone, but you get the choice of making that true or false. Everything else in here is text customization. I'm not going to go through all of the options for customizing the text, but you can absolutely do all these different options here. Okay, so let's take a quick look then at the label page. And I'm going to cheat here. We're going to dig into this the short way. All right, so then the mobile claim label, and this is the page that you're seeing right here and the module on that page. So if we go look at this page, we have the KFS mobile label and the length of time to allow access. So by default, we're going to set to 4 hours from check-in time that we're going to show that label and make that label available. The link expired text. So if that link has expired, what do we want to say? The liquid template, and it defaults to this liquid template, and you can very easily go in and make a new liquid file and customize it however you would like. We'd be happy to help you customize that. That is not included with the price of the module or with the subscription to the module, but it's something that we'd be happy to help you do. You can obviously include images, anything that can be displayed through a browser. Show errors. This is nice for debugging. Default is false, but if you wanted to see what happened with your liquid label and why it didn't work, you can set that. And then the token not found. In the event that they hit that page with a string that got mangled or something, where the token didn't quite work, we want to just display something to them rather than blowing up. And that's really all there is to the soft claim label. It's probably worth talking at this point, how do you get your users to be able to see this page? Well, there's really 3 good options for that. The first one is just include it in your menu, kind of like this menu is huge and I wouldn't replicate this, but you can make it a selectable item from the portal. So you would just remind your people to go to the portal and click the mobile check-in and then go from there. Another good option, and in fact, the way that this tool was built is to work with your app provider and get them to set up a URL container inside of your app and point it at the page that has your mobile check-in on it. In addition, they can include a parameter on that will preset that phone number. I know that we'd already kind of looked at the fact that once you've typed the number in once, you don't have to type that number in again. However, if you're just coming to this page like this and through your app you have enabled this attribute called, or this URL parameter called phone, and you just put a phone number in here, it will do the same thing. It's going to automatically look up that phone number. If it finds it, it's going to display it. If it doesn't find it, it's going to give them a message to say, we can't find you. Click here to register. And then you would go over to some kind of registration page so that you can collect all the information for that family. We'd highly encourage you to use our family registration module, which allows a mom or dad on a mobile device to enter all the information necessary for their children to check in. But you can use the standard user confirmation or whatever you are used to using for registration. So that's the second method. Embed it inside of your app with a URL container. The next way that you can do it is with a Twilio integration. So you can build, with our Twilio integration, responses to specific keywords. So I've built a response to the keyword check-in. So if I text check-in to this known number, it's going to reply back to me with a link that tells me, here, click here and you can go do check-in. I'm just going to go ahead and pick up the URL out of here. As we described earlier, I can't fool the system quite that much because I'm in private mode here so that I can keep the 2 portals up. But then that is this exact same URL and bam, I'm there, one click. So lots of good options for being able to get people to mobile check-in. You can use Twilio. You can put it in your menu in your portal, or you can embed it inside of your church's application, your church app. So we would be happy to discuss with you any questions you might have about how mobile check-in works or how you can use it for your church. Please reach out to us, sales@kingdomfirstsolutions.com, or you can call us 855-376-7786 and select sales. We really look forward to helping your church use something like this to enable getting back to doing children's ministry. And this is one way that you can really help your contactless approach so that you can cut down on the number of surfaces that are touched by so many people. Again, if you have any questions, please reach out to us, sales@kingdomfirstsolutions.com, or call us 855-376-7786. Thanks for your attention and your time today. We look forward to serving you and your church as you move forward in using Arena to manage your church.